Hello, leopards in the second grade. It is time finally to create our pop art fake food, and second grade will be making cupcakes. In order to get this started, we need two things from Mrs. Billman. So if you are 100% virtual, you will need these very same things because we are always doing the same thing because we're still in art class, whether you're learning from home or right here in the art room. So everyone gets a packet of Model Magic from me. Everyone also needs a piece of paper towel tube or toilet tissue tube, either way, and this is about the size you need. If you have paper towel tube, it's pretty much the size that's indicated by the old glue marks that held the paper towel, probably a little thinner. I would say this is probably about an inch, and you'll definitely want a grown-up to help you cut this. I believe you could smash the cardboard a bit and get the job done, but if you're at home, you want a grown-up to help you. If you're here in the art room, I will have a box just full of these. If you just don't have cardboard tubing at your home and you're virtual, I will have a few that I have cut in the pickup area in the lobby. Your Model Magic will also be in the pickup area in a box under the table in the lobby. So you friends that are learning either here or at home, when we start with Model Magic, I want you to understand that you don't want to open that until you are ready to create your cupcake. So make sure you watch this video completely first. Then if you have to go back and watch it again so that you can create along with the video a second time, that's fine. But I don't want your clay to get too air dried because it makes it difficult to work with if you want to make changes or improvements. So watch me and then try to create yours. And if you need to see the video again, of course you can do that. I'm gonna do that strange thing where I turn the camera view because you pretty much need to see my hands working with the clay from the beginning so that you can create your cupcake just the way you would like. So let me do that earthquake thing where I turn the camera and I need to check my view. Got a view of my cupcake from overhead. I'm gonna move it out a bit so that I've got some workspace. You don't need to see the finished cupcake as much as you need to see me work today. So I am gonna slide this up my screen. My pack of Model Magic is already open, and I wanted you to see this. It is foil to keep your Model Magic soft and workable, which means this is not easy to open. So just like those bags of chips or packs of fun fruits that are hard to open, this is about the same way. You might need scissors to get your packet open. Once it's open, you can recycle your foil, and you are going to want to create a basketball of your Model Magic. You're going to want to divide it up after you make sure you have your ring of cardboard from your toilet tissue tube or your paper towel tube. When I divided up my cupcake clay, I made a small snake that was pretty short and kind of chunky. You can tell I'm working at table 8. You can see the painted number in there, your screen. So it looks kind of like a Tootsie Roll that's vanilla instead of chocolate. And you want a smaller piece for the cake part that you can see. So my chocolate cake layer is not very much of my clay. I wanted really thick, yummy looking icing, so I used most of my clay for my icing formation. Therefore, I thought of my Tootsie Roll in this way. If I divided it into quarters or fourths, that means I would divide it into 4 parts. So that means I start by dividing in half, and then I divide each half in half. Who says you don't need fractions in the art room? Now I have about 4 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. I need 3/4 of my clay for my icing. Yes, I know, it's a lot. So 3/4, you sit right here. This will make a tinier basketball. And I'm gonna press it out, not too flat, but so it looks like my piece of cake. I left a little behind, so I'm gonna make this a bit bigger. It's not gonna fit on my ring. There we go. I want it to cover my ring like a lid. But I don't want it super, super, super paper thin flat. This one's a little flatter than that one because I had a smaller ring. I'm gonna push this into the cardboard a bit, just enough to stick. See that? It looks funny from the bottom. It kind of looks like your cardboard's wearing a weird hat. So the rest of this, it's really up to the artist. If you like my twisted, I'm gonna get this closer to the camera and in a better view. If you like my twisted icing and the crimped edges, I'm gonna show you how to make that first. And then I'm gonna show you how to make layers of icing. So I'm gonna set my cake over here, and to make my twisted icing, almost looks like an ice cream cone topper, I'm gonna go back to a basketball, and then I'm gonna roll on just one side of the basketball. I'm gonna end up with what looks like the weirdest Hershey Kiss you've ever seen. First of all, it's not a chocolate, or it's white chocolate, it's vanilla. And it looks almost like a cone because I only rolled one side. I want a nice long cone. It's a little too long. Oh, it's running away. Careful with this, it gets wild. Now I want it to have a flat bottom, so I'm gonna push it against the table, and it looks like it's pointing right at your face right now. I want this to be a little more stretched out, so I'm just gonna pull it. And no, it doesn't look very great yet. Looks like a funny long nose or a funny party hat. Now, I've smushed it flat. I'm just gonna twist my clay around till I'm happy with how it looks. This looks a little too fat to me. I'm gonna pinch that down a little smaller, and I'm gonna push it down against the table. Really, any way you like, second graders, till you like how it looks. How did I make this ruffly crimped edge? Well, I'll be honest with you, it's from knowing how to make pie crust with the same edge. So I'll show you this trick. When you pinch a bit of this, if you pinch clay against your thumb, see this, artist? You can make a crimped or ruffled edge. You might have to try it a couple times. Here's the only problem with having to try something several times. I'm glad you can pause the video. This type of clay does not like to be overworked. In other words, don't play with it. Focus, form your food, okay? It does not enjoy being played with over and over. It dries the clay out. Once you have your icing looking the way you want it to, set it on top of your cupcake. And then the hard part is waiting overnight. I know that sounds so long because it's exciting to paint and decorate, but this clay doesn't like wet paint when the clay is also wet. So we need to paint when it's dry. Whether you're at home or in the art room, we always set our clay up high and out of the way of the youngest of visitors or family members. Also, you do not want this clay accessible to pets if you are working at home or when you take yours home decorated, dry, and done. This is not toxic, it won't hurt them, but it could cause choking problems if it is broken into pieces. So be careful of babies and pets, whether you're working at home or whenever you take this home. So that is how we make an almost identical to Mrs. Billman's swirly top crimped edge cupcake. Now I'm gonna remove my icing, And I'm going to show you how to make layers of icing instead. Most people prefer this. You're going to make this the same way you made your cake, only you're going to make it a little smaller and not so wide. I don't think that's going to be my first piece. I need a bigger piece for my layers of icing. Basketball and a lot of pancakes, one big, one medium, one small, and one for a point. Because we usually get that pointed part of the icing. Now you got to build your pancake after you build your point. Remember that basketball? And you just rolled one side. I got to roll one side with my finger instead of the palm of my hand this time. There's that weird Hershey Kiss look. I'm going to leave it like that, looking like a funky nose. Now it's time to construct. So 1 layer, 2, 3. That might look more like a cupcake to you. And my swirly icing on the top. Of course, it's going to bend a little bit. Nothing pointed like that made of icing stays standing straight up. Hardly ever. There are many layers. The reason a lot of artists prefer this is, first of all, it's a little easier to create. Second of all, it gives them more painting options than just one. My icing is only pink, but you could use different colors on each layer and then your cake layer if you choose to make your icing like this. So that is how we create our pop art cupcakes. Painting and decorating is part 2, and that will take place in a different video. Good luck, leopards. Take your time, pause and restart the video as often as needed, and get ready to paint when your cupcake construction is done and fully